Please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. People whispered. Some laughed. Others crossed the street when they saw me crouched down on the front lawn, ripping grass from the earth and chewing it as if it were the finest meal. I could feel their eyes on me, burning holes through my skin. To them, I was insane, cursed, a woman who had lost her mind. But what none of them knew, what I couldn't dare explain, was that every blade I swallowed was connected to something much darker than hunger. And the day I realized what was truly happening to me was the day everything changed forever. My name is Clara, and if you had told me years ago that I'd become the woman people called the grass eater, I would have laughed in your face. I was once respected, educated, stable, with a family who adored me. But life has a way of unraveling in ways you can't predict. It began one summer afternoon. I remember bending down to pluck a flower for the vase in my kitchen when an odd, almost irresistible pull dragged my eyes toward the lawn. The grass shimmered unnaturally, like emerald threads under the sun. My stomach twisted in ways I couldn't explain, like it was begging, not for food, but for those blades of green. At first, I fought it. But then I heard it, a whisper. A low, coaxing voice that slithered into my ears. Taste it, Clara. Just once. I swear to you, I thought I was losing my mind. My hand trembled as I pinched a small tuft, brought it to my lips, and chewed. The taste wasn't bitter. It wasn't sour. It was familiar. Too familiar. Like I had eaten it before. That's when the shivers started. My body burned, my head spun, and a memory I thought I'd buried forever flashed before my eyes. And that memory was only the beginning of the nightmare. I collapsed to my knees, clutching my stomach as the grass settled inside me like fire. My children were inside the house, probably watching cartoons, while I, their mother, knelt on the lawn like some starving creature. That memory hit me again, sharper this time. A place. A smell. A sound. I was no longer standing in my front yard, I was back there. The hospital bed. The pale blue curtains. The face of my late husband staring down at me, whispering words I didn't understand as I slipped in and out of consciousness. He had fed me something green. I remembered the bitter taste, the way he pressed it against my lips while murmuring, "This will bind us, Clara. Forever." My heart thundered as I stumbled backward, clutching my chest. The grass wasn't just grass. It was connected to him, to a promise I never agreed to, a curse I never understood. From that day on, it became impossible to resist. Each morning, I woke with a gnawing hunger that no bread, no meat, no fruit could satisfy. Only the grass. And worse, each time I ate it, I felt him near me. My dead husband. Watching. Smiling. The neighbors thought I was insane. My children started to fear me. But I couldn't stop. Because every blade of grass carried a piece of his voice, a fragment of a truth I was too terrified to face. Until the night I found something buried under the soil. Something that proved I wasn't imagining it. That night, long after my children had gone to bed, I crept outside with a small garden spade in my trembling hand. The hunger was tearing at me again, but this time, I didn't reach for the grass. No, this time, I meant to dig. The patch of lawn that called to me was darker than the rest, as if the soil itself carried a secret. My hands shook as I stabbed the spade into the earth, peeling it back in desperate handfuls. The deeper I went, the stronger the smell became, damp, metallic, wrong. Then I hit it. A hard surface. Cold. Smooth. My breath caught as I brushed the dirt away with my bare hands. It wasn't a rock. It was a box. An old iron box, rusted at the hinges, with strange engravings carved into the lid. My husband's initials. And beneath them, words I couldn't fully read, Latin, maybe, but twisted into something darker. My pulse pounded in my ears. I wanted to leave it there, bury it deeper, pretend I hadn't found it. But something inside me whispered, "Open it. You need to know." I pried at the lock until it snapped. The lid creaked open. Inside, wrapped in rotting cloth, lay a bundle of dried green herbs, exactly like the grass I had been eating. But there was more. Nestled within was a single object, small but powerful enough to make me stagger back. It was a ring. My husband's wedding ring. But it was still warm. And in that moment, the grass around me began to whisper. Not just in memory, audibly whisper, in his voice. "Clara. You're mine, forever." The ring pulsed in my palm like it had its own heartbeat. I wanted to drop it, to fling it into the woods, to bury it 1,000 feet underground, but my fingers wouldn't open. They couldn't. It was as if invisible strings pulled my hand shut, locking the metal against my skin. The whispers grew louder. My dead husband's voice, curling through the night air like smoke. "Clara, you left me in the earth. But I never left you." I stumbled back, clutching my chest. The grass bent toward me, bowing, reaching, thousands of green blades moving as one, like an audience rising to its feet. And then I understood. The hunger that had been driving me, the desperate craving for grass, it wasn't madness. It wasn't sickness. It was him. Each mouthful I'd eaten had been his tether, his way of seeding himself back into me. The earth I thought was feeding me was slowly binding me to him. I screamed and tugged at the ring, but it burned hotter, fusing with my flesh. The smell of scorched skin filled the air, and the whispers turned to laughter. Then the ground shuddered. A hand, grey, dirt-caked, skeletal, burst from the earth where I had dug. Another followed. And in the moonlight, I saw the impossible. My husband, or what was left of him, dragging himself from the soil with hollow eyes fixed only on me. "You've eaten enough," he rasped. "Now it's time to finish what we started." The grass writhed around my feet, tangling, holding me in place. I tried to scream for my children, but no sound came. Because the voice inside my head, the one that wasn't mine, was already whispering the truth. "You belong to me. Forever." The morning after, sunlight poured into the kitchen, but I couldn't feel its warmth. My body still shook from what I had seen, what I had felt, in the garden. My eldest, Daniel, sat across from me, studying my hands. I realized too late that I was gripping the coffee mug so hard my knuckles had gone bone-white. The ring, now blackened and fused into my skin, glinted faintly in the light. "Mom," he said carefully, "what happened to your finger?" I jerked my hand back, hiding it beneath the table. "Just burned myself cooking," I muttered. He frowned. "At midnight." I froze. He had heard me. The back door, the digging, the whispers I thought only I could hear. Before I could answer, my youngest, Ella, came padding into the room, holding a fistful of grass in her tiny hands. "I found this on your pillow," she said innocently, dropping the blades onto the table. The sight made my stomach lurch. My pillow. I hadn't put it there. Or had I? Daniel's frown deepened. "Mom, what's going on with you?" I opened my mouth to lie, but the ring pulsed, sending a sick wave of heat up my arm. My vision blurred, and for a split second, I saw him again, my husband's hollow face hovering behind Daniel, whispering words only I could hear. "Tell them the truth. Tell them their father is coming home." I clutched my chest, choking back a scream. The children didn't know it yet, but something in this house was shifting. And I wasn't sure if I was still their mother, or if I was slowly becoming the mouthpiece for something that had clawed its way out of the grave. The days that followed were a blur of whispers, sleepless nights, and a growing heaviness inside me. I tried to pretend everything was normal, but my children weren't fools. They noticed the way my eyes darted to empty corners, the way I locked doors in broad daylight, and how my hands trembled when I touched food that wasn't grass. I'd catch Daniel staring at me when he thought I wasn't looking, his expression torn between concern and suspicion. Ella grew quieter, her once bubbly laughter replaced with nervous glances over her shoulder. And Leah, my middle child, whispered to Daniel one evening when they thought I was asleep. "She's losing it. Mom's sick. We need help." But I wasn't sick. I was haunted. At night, I'd wake to the sound of footsteps pacing the hallway, slow, dragging, deliberate. Every time I flung open the door, there'd be nothing. Just the house, still and silent. And yet the grass stains on my nightgown told me otherwise. By the third night, I couldn't hide it anymore. I stood in the kitchen, clutching the blackened ring on my finger, whispering into the shadows. "What do you want from me?" The air turned icy. Behind me, the cabinet doors slammed open one by one, as if invisible hands were tearing them wide. Plates crashed to the floor. My heart pounded, but before I could scream, I heard Ella's voice from the stairs. "Mom!" I spun around. All three of them were there now, staring with wide, terrified eyes. And that's when they saw it too. The shadow. It peeled itself from the wall, tall and thin, its hollow face resembling a man we once loved. My husband. Their father. "Daddy," Ella whispered, her tiny voice cracking. The shadow tilted its head, a grotesque mockery of affection, before reaching a long, skeletal hand toward her. Daniel shoved Ella behind him. Leah grabbed my arm, trembling. "Mom, tell me we're dreaming." But I couldn't. Because for the first time, it wasn't just me. My children had finally seen the truth. And there was no denying it now, he was back. The air in the kitchen turned thick, like tar filling our lungs. My children huddled against me, their breaths quick and shallow, their eyes locked on the shadow stretching taller, darker, until it swallowed the light from the flickering bulb above. "Daddy!" Ella's small voice cracked again. She stepped forward, her trembling hand halfway raised as though she could touch him. I yanked her back. "No." The word tore from my throat, sharper than I intended. "That's not your father." But the shadow laughed. A low, distorted sound, like echoes in a cavern. And then, oh God, it spoke. "Ella. Leah. Daniel." It whispered their names in perfect mimicry of his voice. The voice of the man they once begged to tuck them in at night. Daniel froze, his jaw clenched. "Mom, it sounds like him. What if?" "No." I hissed, my nails digging into his arm. "Don't you dare believe that lie." The shadow tilted its head, as if amused. Its hand stretched out, fingers impossibly long. And then, with a sudden lurch, it lunged, straight toward Leah. She screamed, stumbling backward, her feet slipping on the shards of broken plates. The thing's hand brushed against her cheek, and she gasped as frost bloomed across her skin, leaving a pale, bruised mark like frostbite. That broke the spell. My children saw. They knew. This wasn't their father. Ella clutched her face and sobbed, "It's not Daddy, it's not him." The lights in the house burst, one by one, showering sparks as the shadow swelled, filling every inch of the kitchen. The walls groaned, the floorboards cracked, and in the chaos it whispered again, this time not sweetly, but in a guttural, bone-deep roar. "You are mine." The kids clung to me. My mind raced, my stomach churned, but deep inside, I felt the truth coil around me like fire. This wasn't just a haunting. It wasn't just madness. It wanted us. And it would not stop until it claimed us all. We tried to run. God knows we tried. I shoved Daniel toward the back door, nearly tripping over the overturned chairs. Leah clutched Ella's hand as they stumbled behind me. I yanked the knob so hard I thought it would rip from the wood. But the door didn't open. It pulsed. That's the only way I can describe it. Like a heartbeat under my hand, the wood throbbed warm and alive. And when I pressed my ear against it, I swore I heard breathing. Leah shrieked. The window, Mom, the window. I spun. She tried to smash the glass with one of the dining chairs, but the moment it hit, the window absorbed it, like water swallowing a stone, then rippled back smooth. No crack. No hole. Ella fell to her knees, sobbing. We're trapped, oh God, we're trapped. That's when I heard his voice again. My husband's voice. Darling, it whispered, so close behind me I froze. You always lock the doors before bed. Don't you remember? I whipped around. The kitchen was empty. Daniel's face had gone pale. Mom, what if it's right? What? He swallowed hard. What if we're not really here? What if we never left that night? What if Dad never left us at all? What if? Stop! I roared, slapping my hands over his ears. That's not your father. It's inside our heads. But the words didn't even convince me. Because in the next second, I saw it. A photograph on the wall I swore had never been there before. A family picture. Us. Except my husband's arm wasn't around me, it was around something black and formless, grinning where his face should have been. The children screamed together this time. The walls groaned again, but not with wood or nails, with voices. Hundreds of them, crying, laughing, moaning. The whole house was alive, and it wanted us to forget. To forget what was real, and surrender to it. And I swear, in that moment, I almost did. The air thickened, like invisible hands pressing against our lungs. Leah clutched my arm, her nails digging into my skin. Mom, don't you see it? Dad's right there. She pointed to the hallway, eyes wide and shimmering with a child's desperate hope. But when I looked, I didn't see her father. I saw a shadow, tall and faceless, dripping into the floor like spilled ink. Daniel backed away, shaking his head. No. That's not Dad. That's Grandpa. I swear, it's him. He's telling me to come closer. I grabbed his wrist. Daniel, listen to me. Your grandfather's been dead for 10 years. But he yanked free. His eyes weren't Daniel's anymore, too wide, too dark, as if something else peered through them. Then Ella, my sweet little Ella, whispered in a trembling voice. Why are you all lying? Don't you see Mom's gone already? She's not real. And she pointed directly at me. The house laughed. It came from the walls, the floor, the ceiling, mocking, layered voices. The sound wrapped around my children's ears like a noose. Stop it! I screamed. My throat ripped raw. It's trying to trick us. Can't you see? It wants us. But the truth was, I didn't know anymore. For one horrifying heartbeat, I doubted myself. I looked at my shaking hands, my reflection in the warped glass of the window, and I thought, what if Ella's right? What if I've already gone? The lights flickered, then died, plunging us into blackness. And in that darkness, I heard 3 different voices at once, my husband, my father, and my own voice, whispering to my children. Come with me. Daniel's voice was not his own. His small hand shot out, fingers blackened as though dipped in tar, and clutched the hand of the shadow. His lips parted, and a stream of syllables, deep, guttural, wrong, poured out of him. Leah screamed, trying to pull him away, but the shadow loomed taller, wrapping itself around him like smoke. Its face twisted and twisted until it had too many eyes, too many mouths, a grotesque parody of life. I lunged forward. Daniel. For a heartbeat, his eyes flickered up at me, no longer brown but a dull, icy white. The shadow growled through him. He is mine. I choked back tears and did the only thing I knew could cut through. I called upon a memory. Do you remember, Daniel? When you were 6 and had that blanket fort in the living room? You wouldn't sleep unless I left the flashlight on inside. You said the dark was full of teeth, remember? His chanting faltered. The smoky hand trembled. Daniel's lips quivered, his eyes flickered brown again. He gasped, "Mom!" The shadow shrieked, an ear-splitting screech, and the lights in the entire house blazed on at once. Too bright. Blinding. Daniel collapsed into my arms, sobbing, "It almost had me, Mom. I saw things." But before relief could sink in, Ella stepped forward, her voice hollow. Her eyes burned with suspicion. "You're not our mother," she whispered. "You're something else. You've been lying all along." The light bulbs shattered above us. The house turned on me. Every whisper, every groan in the walls, was aimed like a dagger at my daughter. Ella's hands shook as she pressed them to her ears, screaming, "They're saying you're gone. They're saying you're dead already." I couldn't lose her too. My body moved on instinct, trembling but resolute. I ripped open the cabinet drawer and dug through old papers until my hand brushed something small and familiar, her baby rattle. I rattled it once. The faint sound was almost comical against the suffocating roar of the house. But it sliced through the noise like a blade. Ella froze. Her eyes, wide and brimming, met mine. "You kept it," she whispered, her voice trembling. I nodded, forcing steadiness into my voice. "I kept everything. The day you were born, your father handed you that rattle and said you were the brightest sound in this house. That's real, Ella. That's ours." The rattle stilled in my hand. For a fragile second, she softened, her lips parting as if to cry. Then she screamed again, clutching her head. "They don't want me to believe you. They said you were buried years ago." I grabbed her face, pulling her gaze to mine. "Look at me. Look at your mother. Feel me. I am real." The whispers snapped off. Silence flooded the house like a vacuum. But silence wasn't safety. The floor groaned beneath us like something vast was shifting. And then, with a loud crack, the front door dissolved into a blank wall. Leah pressed against me, trembling. "It doesn't want us to leave." The house groaned louder, the walls bending as though lungs were filling all around us. Doors upstairs slammed one by one in rhythmic beats, like a heartbeat. Daniel whimpered, clinging to my arm. "Where do we go, Mom? There's no way out." I swallowed hard. The truth tasted like iron. "We fight." The whispers surged again, overlapping, shrieking. "She's lying. She's dead. You're ours. Ours. Ours." Shadows thickened in the corners, dripping down the walls like black tar. They twisted into shapes, sometimes my father, sometimes my husband, sometimes me. Each version looked at my children with hungry eyes. The floor split beneath us with a sound like bone snapping. Ella screamed, nearly falling into the crack before I dragged her back. Daniel cried out, "It's trying to eat us." I held them close. "No. It feeds on fear. That's why it wants us to forget. That's why it twists our memories. We don't let go of who we are. That's the only way out." The lights flickered red, bathing the room in a hellish glow. And in that glow, it stood. The entity had taken full form now. It towered in the center of the living room. Its body rippled like tar, constantly shifting, reshaping itself. Sometimes it was my late husband, sometimes my father. Then it was me, but stretched, broken, my mouth too wide, my eyes all wrong. It laughed, and the laugh came from my children's mouths, from mine, from the walls themselves. The children writhed in my arms, screaming, "It's inside us, Mom." I bit my lip until blood spilled, grounding myself with pain. "Listen to me. You're stronger than this. It only wins if we forget." I started to sing. The old lullaby. The same one I used to sing when they were toddlers, their little heads tucked against my chest. My voice shook, cracked, but it was mine. At first, they resisted, eyes clouded, mouths muttering in that wrong, guttural language. But I kept singing. Louder. Stronger. Daniel's voice faltered. Then Leah's. And finally Ella, her eyes brimming with tears, joined me. Our voices twined together, frail but unbroken. The entity shrieked, folding in on itself, twisting, tearing. Plaster cracked. The ceiling groaned as if it would collapse. And then, darkness. The lights blew out for the last time. We woke sprawled on the lawn, the cool grass damp beneath our skin. The house stood silent behind us. Its windows black and blank, like watching eyes. It hadn't collapsed. It hadn't burned. It just waited. Daniel hasn't spoken since. He flinches at the sound of his own name. Leah startles at shadows, clutching my sleeve like she's still 10 years old. And Ella, sometimes she watches me too long at night, her eyes narrowing, as if she's not completely sure I'm real. And me. When the wind rattles the trees, sometimes I hear it. A whisper in my own voice. Come with me. And I wonder if maybe, just maybe, we never really left.